Hello everyone, good morning and welcome to another session with me, Varun on Pravatic. This is the fifth session of your data science course on R language, and in this language we would be looking at a very important and a very interesting topic, and that topic would be visualization. Now, when we talk of visualization, right now, why do I call this an important topic is all the while when we were coding, we were just seeing basic answers and there were logics, but here we would be having graphs and plots. So we would be having something very interesting to do and something very interesting to see. When I started working for the first time on visualization, I spent almost 2 to 3 days just understanding different types of plots and graphs and maps. You have, a lot of varieties. You have a pie chart, you have histogram, you have box plot, you have donut, you have violin plot, you have heat map, you have n number of things under the topic of plots and stats. Here I've just collected a few so that you can start working on them, and these few which I've collected here are very very important for us. So I would request you to take them up with utmost attention and care, because considering that you have understood these topics, well, there is practically nothing else left for you to probably learn or explore, because now I wouldn't say that's an end to your learning, but you can consider that these are the most important plots that you would have to know, and these form the core essentials. So once you know these, it's good that you are now good to go, and good to learn new things. All right, so the agenda is very simple. We would be understanding visualization, and in this process I would also try to answer some very important question and answers that are asked generally during interviews, and that are important for us to know. All right, so I've cleaned it all up, guys, and let us now begin. So step one, as we all know, I am reading my data set, which is customer churn data set. Okay, and here I have 7,043 observations and 21 columns. I'm sure we all know this, and there's nothing new for us here. All right, now the next thing that we would be doing is, after that, we would now start plotting the data set. Okay, so here the first thing that I'm doing is I'm taking a basic function, which is plot. So now let us understand what plot does for us. So here I'm going into plot. Okay, I think we should go into help and do that. So now I would do this plot, and now I have, see, it's a generic XY plotting. Now it's used for simple scatter plot. I mean, this is the default that will be used, and let us also read about it. Okay, so here you have P for points, all right, L for lines, B for both, C for the lines apart alone of B, C for overplotted. So here you have a lot of versions, and for no plotting. So I hope we are able to see that. All right, and then you have different properties as well. These are the different properties or attributes, as they call it: main, sub, X lab, which is X label, Y label. So now we'll see how to use them. Here I've used some properties so that it would be easy for us to relate to it. So now what I'm doing is, the first step, I am now opening up my data set, and here I have my partner column. So this is my partner column, guys, which has binary values. It has yes and no. So now let me go ahead and plot it. So in order to do that, I would be using plot of customer churn dollar, which is something that will pull out the required column for me in my data set. So here you can see that I have almost 3,500 no values, and almost a bit less than no yes values. Now, when you look at the plot, you have different options. You can also click on this button to zoom in, and here you can see that I have more than 3,500 values on no, and somewhere around 3,000 values on yes. Okay. So now I want to change the color, and in order to do that, you can just use color equal to Corel. You can probably play around with a different set of colors and you can check how it would vary for you. All right. And it's really interesting to do it for the first time. Now I want to give my X axis a name. And in order to do that, I would be using something called as XLab. And when I do this, I have my uh, label with the name of dependence here, as you're able to see. And now in the next step, I would also be giving the main. What would main do, guys? Please pause the video for a second, open your R Studio and try to check what main does. Well, I hope now you have seen and now you know, but for all those of you who have missed it, oh, for all those of you who have missed it, let us now just come back. Main is an overall title for the plot. So it gives us an overall title. So now what we'll do is let us go to plots and now let us execute this line. And I have distribution of dependents, which is my heading. And how do I have that? Or why do I have that? It's because I've given the feature main, that is distribution of dependents. Right? Pretty simple to understand, isn't it? And if you can actually relate to it, most of the things that we are seeing here, we must have started doing these much earlier in at school only, right? So this is nothing very difficult or this is nothing very complex for us to understand. It's just that we are doing this on a digital front, as we have discussed yesterday. All right, so now I'm coming up with a density plot. And how do we do a density plot? I would just use plot, the same features. I would not change anything, but rather I would just add one feature or one function extra, and that would be density. I hope you are able to see that there is no difference in the coding at all, except for the fact that I've changed the column and I've now taken it as tenure. And what do we have in tenure? Let's check it out. Well, this time tenure happens to be a set of numbers. Okay. And guys, I would just want all of you to know that here I'm playing around with different columns. All right. I am, I did not actually check which column would do what. I just kind of copy pasted the lines again and again, and I explored how would different plots react on different columns. And all this is part of EDA, that is exploratory data analysis, and is very, very important for you. And I would suggest that you learn as much as possible about exploratory data analysis before you go into the actual machine learning part of it. All right, so now here I am doing a plot, and here you go. All right, so I have my plot with density on my y. It shows bandwidth to be 3.75. Okay, now the next thing that I would be doing is I would change the color into red, and as you're able to see, the color is now changed to red. Let us now add an X label, and when I do that, I have my X label, which is monthly charges. But then you must be probably wondering as to what is this N7043. N7043 is the total number of observations that we have here in the data set. All right, so now let's go to the next step, which is, yeah, so now I have my monthly charges, and then I would also want to kind of change the heading, and now the heading is changed to distribution of monthly charges. As simple as that. Now you can actually go ahead and try this for different features. Like let us probably do this for uh, senior citizen. Should we try this for senior citizen? A plot like this? Well, let us just go ahead and try and let us see what happens. All right, so here we have values. Now, why do we have values like this? Anyone, if you can just see here in senior citizen, we only have values of 0 and 1. So that is why we have these many zeros and we have these many ones. So we have less senior citizens and we have greater people who are not senior citizens. So that is how you can understand this. All right. So it's just about exploring and understanding as much as possible, but then otherwise it's not very easy. It's not very difficult for us to understand these. Now, let us look at the next kind of a plot, which is histogram. And in order to do a histogram, you just have to use the word hist. And if you would want to understand about it, or if you're unsure about what it is, then you just have to come here and check hist. Okay, see, it is a generic function. Histogram computes given data. If plot is equal to true, you would have a histogram which is plotted by, or before it is returned. Simple. Okay, now we all know what is a histogram. Okay, so here you have different features or different attributes that can be used about the breaks and about the interval, which is your frequency, about the probability, about different things. So now let us go ahead and implement a histogram. And the only change I would be doing is tenure. Now again, because tenure is a continuous column, let us see what we would have if I do this for partner. All right, so here it goes. And here, if you can see, it says X must be numeric. Now, can you guess why is it saying that X must be numeric? Anyone? Can you just pause the video for a second, go back to your help, and can you just guess why or what could be the reason that they say X should be numeric? Well, it is because histogram basically tells us, or basically works on a mathematical front. Histogram would require the frequency on the x-axis, and you can set the frequency or the bins here on the x-axis. So that is why we cannot define a column which is not a continuous set of numbers. All right. So now we have done that. And in the next line, I would now want to change the color to aquamarine. You can change this to a different set of colors. Probably let us try black. So here you go, it's all in black. But then when you see black, you would not be able to make the distinction. So that is why we keep the colors mostly to be pretty mild. Okay. So now I've given a yellow, and now you can see the how distinct they are. All right, then I would want to change the name of my x-axis, and it is changed. And here I have tenure, and also I have distribution of tenure as my main heading. And if you want to change y-axis, then it would be ylab. All right, you just have to add a comma, give another feature, which would be ylab. Now we are going on to one step extra, or we are kind of promoting ourselves in understanding stats and plots. And here we are now working on ggplot2. Okay, if you can remember, or if you can go back to the videos, we were talking about ggplot2 in help. Okay, so here it goes. And ggplot2 is basically grammar of graphics, guys. Okay, and whenever you would want to work with ggplot2, it is, I think, ggplot. Okay, so now let us come here and understand what it is. Okay, firstly, let us go into a package. And if you would want to work with this kind of, whenever, okay, so now here, let us first understand this step by step, and then let us go into the other part. We would be using a package which is called ggplot2. Now, all the while, we were using inbuilt functions. Okay, now when you talk about hist or plot or density plot, all these are some standard examples of inbuilt functions. But if you would want to use a bit of a complex graph, or a graph which is a bit more aesthetically nice, a graph which has multiple features, in that case you would have to go for a library which is ggplot2. ggplot is GG is abbreviated as grammar of graphics. And because you would all be using or for the first time, if you want to install a library, you would go into install, and here you should be using ggplot to hit on enter and click the install button. And when you do this, you would see that you would be having, installing the package, and you would be seeing all the sub packages, or all the packages within this library would get uninstalled, and you would have all these features that would successfully be unpacked and loaded into your system. All right. Now once you've installed it, now I mean, if you have checked the step above, we have installed it. Now that you have installed it, the second step for us to do is to instantiate it. And how do we do that? So here, if you can check the command, it is install.packages. Now we did not type this in, guys. Whenever you go into this install button and you select the ggplot2 and you click on OK, this line is automatically executed. And once it is executed, the next essential thing for us to do is, after installation, instantiation. So now I am doing that. I'm instantiating my library of ggplot2. Okay, done that. And now I would be using the function ggplot, and the data set is my customer churn only. Okay, now let us just go to help and let us check if we have ggplot. Yes, we do. Okay, so ggplot initializes an object. It can be used to declare the input data frame, graphic, and basically to come up with a graph. So this is how we do it. So what does data here mean? It is the data set that you use for the plot. So my data set is customer churn. The second feature I'm using is AES. All right, so now let us understand what is AES, guys. AES here, as you can see here within AES, you would be providing the X column, or the X axis, the Y axis, and other aesthetics. What are aesthetics? Aesthetics are all those improvements that you would want to mark upon. All right. So now I'm using a ggplot2. I'm taking my customer churn data set with X to be my tenure. So X axis would be my tenure, and I'm taking a histogram. And whenever I take a histogram, because histogram basically works on the concept of frequency, I would be setting the frequency to be 30 here. All right. So now let us see what would happen when I execute this line. Here it goes. All right, guys. So now I have my ggplot, and here within ggplot you can see how I have my histogram. Is this not a histogram? This is a histogram, and this is how a histogram looks like. So now if I try increasing this to 50, let us now see what difference I would have. Now if you can see, the the frequency, or has now increased, and here we can see how the graph has changed. Okay, if you cannot notice, this is how it was earlier. All right, and this is how it is now. All right, so guys, we would be having a difference when you change the number of bins. So here we have less number of bins, and here we have more number of bins. It is just to understand how your data is distributed more accurately. All right. In the next line, I'm just going with another add-on feature, and that feature is I'm filling it with pale green color. All right. And this color can be changed. You have a lot of colors. You can just keep it as simple as green, and you can execute it. And here it goes. Now, please don't mind the neon green, but then, yeah, you have your graph here. Now, in the next line, or in the next set of code, I would be using another color, which is fill, is something that we've used. Now because here I'm not able to understand the distribution, or all those which are below, because see, they're all mixed, because it's all whole green. I would now change the border to green, and I would fill it with pale green just to see the difference. And here it goes. Okay, so now my border has changed to pale green, while the inner color is filled with pale green 4. Now let us, go ahead and add on one more step. That is, I have my tenure, which is on my x-axis. But then I would now want to compare my tenure with my partner column in the same graph. And how would we do that, guys? In order to do that, you just have to add another feature called fill in your aesthetic. So here the same fill would do two different functions when used in a histogram and when used within a ggplot set. Okay, so now within my ggplot, I'm here, I mean till here, if you can see, I'm having my ggplot functionality, and after that I'm having my geom histogram functionality. So within my ggplot functionality, I'm now adding another layer, which is partner, and I would check how would partner function. Okay, and I would keep the position as identity. So now let me hit this, and here it goes. So I can now say that only, as long as my tenure is still 20 or 25, I can say that I have, no partners. But then once you see that, it's after 25, most of them are partners. Okay, so things like these also can be understood. Now let us just change the variable and check how it works for other variable. So I'm checking for my online security as well. Okay, and how am I doing it? I'm adding online security. Okay, and in my job histogram, I'm giving bins and the position to be identity. All right, pretty simple, isn't it, guys? So this is how we do. Now you must be wondering, why do we have three colors here? Because if you go and check it out, within online security, we have three options. That is no, yes, and no internet service. And these three colors are automatically taken. We don't have to again go back to defining the colors for each of them. It is automatically understood. Okay, so this is how my ggplot would work for online security. And here, what can I deduce from this? Let us just zoom this. I can say that for all those people who have, I mean, everyone almost, irrespective of tenure, they have, online security. All right, but then most of the people who are falling, within a tenure of 40, they do not have online security. And people who are having a tenure of less than 20, mostly they are only the people who do not have internet service as well. So these are the things that can be deduced from here. So I hope this is understood. I would leave you people now for some practice. Please do some practice. Okay, and if you have any queries, I would, request all of you to revert back to us. So I hope the agenda is understood. In the upcoming video, let us look at some more topics on visualization. Let us look at some more plots. Let us look at some more graphs, and let us get our hands more dirtier. And in the meanwhile, if you have any queries, please feel free to write to us on hello@pravatech.com, or you can also reach out to us at 8147111254. This is me, Varun, your trainer, signing off. Have a great day out there.